welcome to AM Prime on WESN Content Capital. I'm Keaton Shaw. Thank you very much for joining me on the program this morning. We're in the middle of the week. It's a rainy one. In fact, the traffic is a bit more heavier than usual, probably because of the weather, because the skies are a bit grey this morning. But we are expecting severe weather conditions, given that we have two tropical waves that will impact us. I think starting from today, we got some rain yesterday, but I think the heavier rain is supposed to start today. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we've heard the conversations of dengue here in TNT. In fact, there have been clashes between the opposition and the government over dengue. There have been concerns in respect to an outbreak and the treatment that is available. And furthermore, there's also conversations in respect to a lack of spraying from the vector control unit. And the vector control units, according to the head of the unit, they've made a statement suggesting that they have the resources to actually cover all of their responsibilities and duties, but dengue is still spreading, not just in TNT, but around the Americas. In fact, the CDC predicts, well, not predicts, the CDC has actually released a statement saying that the Americas have recorded over 9 million cases of dengue from the start of this year, just about to the end of June. But when you contract dengue, exactly what is that experience like? We've interviewed people who contracted COVID-19 and in some extreme cases thought that they were on their deathbed. We've had those conversations here before, but we've never spoken to somebody who has contracted dengue. And this morning we have the opportunity to do such, as I'm pleased to welcome to the program a familiar face on WSN, a relatively familiar face. I welcome my co-host for this morning, but also production assistant at AM Prime and the face of WESN's news, Miss Naomi McNish. Good morning, Naomi. Welcome to AM Prime.
Hi, Keaton. Good morning.
Thanks for joining us on the program this morning. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you.
How long has it been since you've recovered from dengue?
About 2 weeks.
2 weeks now it's been since you've recovered.
Yes.
When you first contracted dengue, what were the first symptoms or signs of you having this virus?
The first symptom I had was chills. I got severe chills, which quickly escalated to joint pain. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. It was just really painful. All I knew in that moment, it was just really, really painful. The chills was, for the first day, the chills lasted a couple hours, and the pain started probably an hour or two after the chill started.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it actually, developed really quickly from
Yes.
the chills to the pains. But you
Yep.
said the pains were really, really bad. If you were to describe the extent, would you say you couldn't move? It was very difficult for you to move?
It was hard to walk, very hard to move. I couldn't really stay in one spot for too long. But it was joint pain. So if I sit or I lay down, if I bend my knee or my elbow, that's mostly where the pain was.
And at that point, what did you do at that point?
I couldn't do anything. Initially, I took ibuprofen. Now, that is wrong. You're not supposed to take ibuprofen. But I didn't know that. So I took ibuprofen to minimize the pain. It did work for me, but many doctors have said ibuprofen is one medication when you have dengue, do not take. So,
But at that point in time, you had not realized that you had
no.
dengue as yet?
No.
Okay. Speak to me now about how these symptoms progressed.
So I started to get headaches, pain behind my eyes. I had when I realized the joint pain wasn't going away by the following day, I did speak to a doctor about my symptoms, and off the bat, he said, it sounds like dengue. So I knew at that point I had to deal with it. I started, well, actually a good friend of mine made like teas for me with like purple leaves and stuff like that. So I did go the natural route of curing, of treatment for the dengue.
Did you ever get tested for dengue?
No.
You didn't think there was a need to get tested?
I know, because all the symptoms aligned with everything that I would have seen online or from my doctor.
Do you recall at any point, though? I mean, it may be a bit hard to recall, but do you recall that of being bitten by mosquitoes multiple times or anything to that effect?
Funny enough, I do.
You do?
I remember the date was probably either the week before or a few days before I got these symptoms. I remember sitting and I saw an Aedes aegypti, because those are the mosquitoes with the white and black stripes.
Yeah, on their back legs.
Yeah. And I saw one flying around me, and I called it out. I said, "Hey, look, an Aedes aegypti."
Oh, you called it out?
Yeah.
Oh, crikey.
But I didn't realize at the time, I mean, you wouldn't know that mosquito is carrying the disease. So I just looked at it and was like, hey, that's an Aedes aegypti.
Yeah, I think you called it towards it, didn't you?
Yeah, probably.
So at what point did you realize, or did it become clear that you were getting really, really sick?
In my experience with dengue, I don't think it was, it did not progress horrible or in a bad way. I don't think I had it severe, but I do believe that's because of the treatment that I was doing. So every single day I drank like 3 cups of the tea, which had pawpaw leaves, it had clove, it had turmeric, it had a lot of different things.
You went all natural.
Yeah, and it did help. I also got really itchy skin. I forgot about that. I got really, really itchy skin. That lasted the full 2 weeks. By the second week, it did start to ease up.
Really?
The pain lasted a week, but I had constant headaches for the 2 weeks. But the teas helped a lot.
It did.
I know dengue can be a lot more severe, so I think taking those remedies helped to subside what could have happened.
What about fever, or the severity of fever that you would have experienced?
Yeah, fever. The fever came and went. The first day of symptoms, I had a fever right after the chills. So that lasted a couple hours. I took Panadol to try and break the fever. It helped. Days following, fever came and went, but it never lasted.
Apart from that, though, I mean, I know you said you just said you took Panadol, and you went the natural route, taking those teas, which, by the way, I've been told is the absolute best medication.
Definitely.
Very difficult to swallow. I've had it. But and what about your diet? Did it restrict your diet at all? Were you able to consume food, solid food?
No, I had no appetite. So in the first week, I think I probably ate twice.
Wow.
And it was hard. Like, I could not stomach anything. I was very nauseous, and food to me was just not appetizing at all. It's like, I've never experienced that before, so it was and I love to eat. Yeah.
I think when you get sick, that is the one thing that is terrible. Like, I on a different note, I contracted COVID, I think, twice.
Yeah.
And both times when my sense of smell went, it obviously blocks your taste buds.
Right.
I couldn't wait for it to be over, because I just was waiting for food. I was like, I can't taste this food. I need to taste food.
Oh, yeah.
But now, was there any point, though, that you felt so sick that you thought that you needed to go to the hospital or wanted to go to the hospital?
There was one night in particular, I remember I was in a lot of pain. This was probably 4 days after the symptoms started, and I could not move. I was laying down in bed and I just could not, I was uncomfortable, really, really uncomfortable, and I asked my mom to take me to the hospital. And she said, like, you know, Nim, you'll be okay, but I got like heating pads to like place on my my joints. Mostly it was my hips that I felt the pain. But I didn't go, thank God, because I don't like hospitals, so I did not go. She got me a cup of tea to drink that night. I took melatonin, which is like a sleeping, to help relax.
Were you getting difficulties though to sleep?
Yeah.
Usually when you are ill, you don't, but the pain was so bad
That I couldn't, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was taking like melatonin, or I tried like drowsy Panadol to try and relax myself so I can sleep, because out of all things, I really just did not want to go to the hospital. Yeah.
Okay, so later on in the program, we will welcome a doctor to speak to us a bit more about treatment options and, long-term effects. But I'm curious to know though, you said you weren't consuming a lot of food. I mean, you were still taking Panadol, for example. They say you should line your stomach, but I suppose with the nature of the teas that you were having, that would have been fine. But how often would you drink those teas?
Every day, 3 times.
3 times a day?
3 times a day.
Okay, and you were absolutely fine, with no side effects or anything with that?
No side effects. It's just like drinking, like when you wake up in the morning, have a glass, have it at lunchtime, have it for dinner. You can have it as many times as you want. I think the more the better. I love tea, so for me that was easy. Yeah, it was like just...
So at what point did you start to recover? At what point were things starting to get better? You were starting to see some improvements?
By the 2nd week. So I would have started symptoms, let's say a Tuesday. That week I went through drinking the teas. That's when the symptoms were at its highest. And by the Sunday, I started to feel a lot better. So I wasn't really getting the fever anymore. The joint pain started to ease up a lot. And that week was just all about recovering mentally, physically, because I was also very tired. And my skin was still very, very itchy, very, very itchy. I mean, like, constant. Like, just think about...
You're thinking about it and you're stressing.
Yeah, because it was just so bad. It was so bad. So the itching lasted that week. By Thursday, Friday, it eased up.
And at what point were you starting to get that appetite again, gaining that appetite?
By the 2nd week.
By the 2nd week.
Slowly, very slowly.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Have you had any long-term effects following dengue?
So far, I have not felt any different from before I got dengue, but I will say the recovery in terms of getting your strength back takes a while. That was the only thing that I noticed that was different for me. It took a longer time for me to just feel myself again, but I can't, for me personally, I did not have any long-term side effects as of now.
What about prevention measures now? Like, I mean, even during that time, you already contracted dengue, but what measures did you and your family put in place, then and even now, following this experience?
Well, while I had dengue, I tried to stay to myself because it can't be spread. If a mosquito bites me, an Aedes aegypti, and bites you, you're gonna get it. So now, at the time, we tried to keep the space, clean, no water open, things like that. I used a lot of cocksets in my room.
Have you gotten accustomed to that smell?
I love these.
You're kidding.
Some people, a lot of people, everybody that I ask say I hate that smell, but I love the smell of cocksets.
It's the amount of smoke too.
It's not that bad. Well, if you put it in a corner or under your bed, to me it gives the room a nice calming, very,
That's
I love
it.
Yeah.
And again, as we understand when you recovered the preventative measures and whatnot, but is there anything that you've learned or anything that you could share in terms of advice to people?
I would have to say just,
I think when you said, because you did advise throughout the interview that the teas are really good. They're really
they are. Because there's no medical cure for dengue, so we don't really have a choice at that point, unless, and the hardest part will be to leave it to run its course. I don't think that mentally, I can't see that, working out for people. But the teas, they are a big part. So I would recommend, if you have dengue, the pawpaw leaf is a very, very good option.
And everything.
Route.
Well, it's the first thing I've heard
Yeah.
in respect to when you contract dengue. Get young pawpaw leaves.
Yeah.
People are very specific. You need to get the young pawpaw leaves and you need to boil it, strain it, drink it. I've never had that. Fortunately, I've never contracted dengue. I've never had that. I don't know if I want to ever try that. Is it bitter?
Ew, yeah.
And you still liked it?
Yes. Well, I put honey.
Oh, okay.
But I also did not make it for myself. I obviously.
Yeah.
But the person that made it for me, they did put a lot of things to kind of minimize the bitterness, which was good. So
the real green tea.
Yes.
That's the real green tea. But since then, I know you've been out here at WSM for the last 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And everything is good now. Everything is
good.
fine. And everything seems to be back to normal.
I feel much better. I feel back up to myself, strength-wise, mentally. So.
And now you're here. You're helping to produce AM Prime as well as read the news.
Yes.
And how's that been?
It has been exciting. I love being here.
She's not going to say otherwise. Huh?
No, I can't. But I wouldn't. There's no reason to say otherwise.
Well, we're going to speak more about you and your role here at WSN in a bit. We're going to take a break now because we are going to welcome that medical doctor to AM Prime because Naomi has shared her personal experience with us. So we know what she faced, what she went through, and we also know what she did to recover and recuperate. When we return, we're going to get some medical info on dengue, so stay tuned to AM Prime. We'll be right back.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put
Why you
forever.
want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part
No,
of this game.
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Coming soon to WESN.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really
respond to me. Respond to me how you would respond to me.
I would, the first question I'll ask is why?
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say,
services, yeah.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren. Coming soon to WESN.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God, so we cannot a stalemate.
We'll focus on the woman who's been the victim,
right,
or the man who's been the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI, worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Welcome back to AM Prime, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us. Naomi joins me as co-host this morning on the program. And Naomi, thanks for being with us. We are able to welcome to the program as well, alongside you, is a family doctor and sports medicine doctor, Dr. Sasha Faria. Good morning, Dr. Faria.
Good morning.
Well, thank you for joining us on the program. Now, we were having a conversation this morning about dengue. Naomi was actually speaking to us about her personal experience. But a very simple and basic question to start. We know that dengue is spread by the Aedes aegypti. We've been given detailed descriptions of the Aedes aegypti and, look out for that mosquito.
Right.
But exactly what is dengue? Dengue is spread through these mosquitoes biting you, but what is dengue?
Right. So dengue itself is actually a virus, right? So it's not really the mosquito that's causing dengue, but the problem is the mosquito acts as a vector for dengue. Meaning that if one person has dengue and I don't, let's just say for example, and a mosquito bites her, it could actually pick up the virus from her and then transmit it to me. So it's a virus, and that's, I guess, part of the problem as to why it's so difficult to treat,
Oh, because we're not entirely sure where it stems from.
Right. So they think it originated somewhere in Asia, but now it's basically spread all over the tropical parts of the world where mosquitoes are abundant,
Wow, the Americas.
Yeah.
And in fact, Naomi, that's one of the things that we were speaking about as well, the difference between dengue, malaria, other diseases.
Yeah.
And what are those, what's the difference between dengue, malaria, chikungunya? I mean, how?
Chikungunya and Zika are both viruses also. So all of those are viruses, but malaria is not. So malaria is actually caused by a parasite. So that's one big difference between the two. And then the other thing is that, yes, we do have cases of malaria in Trinidad, but they tend to be what we call imported cases. So the numbers are not as high as dengue right now. And what we mean by imported is that a lot of the cases would have contracted malaria in a different country, and then they came over to Trinidad. So for example, in Guyana or Venezuela, one of those countries, and then they came over to Trinidad and were detected. So it is something to still look out for, of course. It may be a problem in the future, yes, but right now the issue is that we're having a dengue outbreak. Yeah.
So when you have these symptoms that they would have listed for dengue, I know chikungunya is very similar to dengue.
Yeah, so that's part of the, I guess, issue in diagnosing.
Right.
One of the main differences that we look out for is joint swelling.
Right.
So chickpea tends to cause more joint swelling and a lot of joint pain. That's like the hallmark of chickpea. Everybody complains of severe joint pain.
Right.
But you still could get the other symptoms, yes. But dengue tends to give you, all the other things. In addition to, yes, you can get joint pain too, but joint swelling is definitely like a hallmark of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And we were also speaking about these signs and symptoms to look out for. I mean, Naomi spoke about how it started off with chills and then it went into joint pain. But what are the severe symptoms that you really need to keep an eye out for?
Right. So I guess you guys discussed it before, but the typical symptoms that people would come with would be feeling unwell, fever, headaches, pain around the eyes, as you mentioned, muscle pain and joint pain. But what you really need to look out for that should alert you that, okay, might have to be in hospital is any sort of bleeding, right? So bleeding.
I didn't even realize that bleeding is associated with dengue.
With dengue, yeah.
I didn't.
Well, that's actually the issue in dengue, right? That's what actually.
That's what kills people.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
That's telling how much I've been paying attention.
So most people who get dengue would just have dengue fever, right? And then, we would see them every couple of days, they will get better and they'll be fine, right? But there are a small portion of people who will actually develop dengue hemorrhagic fever. And that's the issue, that they could bleed, and that's, yes, multi-organ failure, shock, bleeding, that's what could end you up in hospital and cause death. That's the issue. So if you see bleeding, if you use the bathroom and you see blood in the stool, blood in the urine, that's a warning sign. If somebody's vomiting consistently and they're getting dehydrated, that's a warning sign too. That person might have to go to hospital and get IV fluids. Severe abdominal pain is also a warning sign, because dengue could cause like a little bit of swelling of your liver. So if somebody's having severe right upper abdominal pain, that's a warning sign too. So that's part of the reason, as doctors, when we do diagnose somebody with dengue, we typically see them back every 2 days or so, just to make sure that they're not getting into that category that needs to be in hospital.
I know there's one medication that doctors warned would or can trigger or make the internal bleeding.
Yeah, not just one, actually. It's a class of medication. Okay. So, but actually two. So aspirin. So we say avoid aspirin if a doctor says, hey, you might have dengue, avoid aspirin and avoid the NSAID drugs. So those are the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So those would be things like diclofenac, ibuprofen, Aleve, Acoxia, those kinds of drugs. So the safe drugs would be the paracetamol, to stick with that. And then if you're in severe pain, you could use the Panadine, the codeine mix with the paracetamol. But the other painkillers, the NSAIDs and aspirin, stay away from. And if you're not sure, ask a doctor, ask a pharmacist,
Apart from that, though, I mean, when you were speaking about the hemorrhaging, how common is that? How often do we see
I don't know the exact figures offhand, but it's not, thank God.
So people don't always get to that stage?
No. Most people, the vast majority of people would be okay. They would get dengue, they would be sick for a few days to about a week, and they would recover. But it's just that we can't tell who. So if 3 of us get dengue right now, I can't say, okay, well, you will get it, I'll be okay, Right. So that's why generally we see back patients every 2 days, or even more if we're concerned about them. And we'd see them back with CBCs, complete blood counts. So.
How actually do you test for dengue? Is it a blood test?
Yeah, so there are different ways you could do it. In Trinidad, what is available, we don't really have a test for the virus itself, but what we have is a dengue titer. So you can do it, but there might be issues with the accuracy of it, but there is the dengue titer available. So what that tests for is more the antibodies that you produce in response to the dengue. So it was almost like a COVID test kind of thing where you get, So you can do that, right? But usually we use clinical suspicion. And then you'd hear people talking about CBC all the time, complete blood count. So that's not a dengue test per se. It's just a blood count. But what it is a good additional test that we always do, and is very important in dengue, because we look for certain things on the test to tell us if the patient is getting better, getting worse, if the platelet count is dropping too much. So that's a very important test, even though it's not a diagnostic test for dengue. Yeah.
Actually, coming back to your experience, you spoke about the symptoms. The pain around the eyes, for example, the joint pains was a dead giveaway. But you also mentioned about how your diet was restricted, food wasn't appetizing to you.
No appetite.
And I'm just wondering, doctor, whether or not there are foods that, people should avoid when they are consuming. Because you mentioned these are drugs you should avoid.
So the drugs, for sure. Food, not right. I mean, alcohol, definitely, right? Because
I think you need to stress that. Yeah.
I think that's a given. When you're sick, obviously avoid alcohol. But especially in dengue, because the problem with dengue is that it dehydrates you, right? So then alcohol also dehydrates you, definitely. So avoid alcohol. I would say avoid caffeine, too much caffeine containing drinks too. So things like black teas and coffee, because again, the issue is you need to rehydrate as much as possible, and then those things are diuretics, right? So those things would make you lose fluid, right? But other than that, yes, you can. There's nothing that says that you can't. But I always say it's better to eat a healthy, healthy meals and stuff like that, rather than eating things that might be greasy and oily and then making you more upset, more for the symptoms. But it's not that it's contraindicated in terms of like you can't eat this at all with dengue, like how you can't take aspirin and can't use NSAIDs, Yeah.
What about getting back to treatment options? I know you mentioned Panadine, Panadol,
right.
But what about generally the treatment options that are available?
That's the thing. Dengue has no, it's a virus, right? And just like when you get the cough and cold or the flu, your doctor will say, well, there's no cure, just rest. And it's the same thing, unfortunately, with dengue. Because it's a virus, it's difficult to treat. So there's no cure. So the Panadol and Panadine, they're not really necessary either. I could have dengue and not take it. It's really up to the person if they're having pain, right? Or fever, right? So those are more symptomatic treatments. There's not really a cure. Right. So there's no real treatment. The treatment really is just rest, allow your body to do what it does, right? Mm-hmm. Hydration is one of the most important things. So make sure you hydrate, because dengue tends to dehydrate you. And remember, you may not be moving around and eating and drinking like normal, right? So you tend to get a little bit dehydrated. And then, using your Panadol, Panadine. But other than that, there's no antibiotics, nothing like that. There's no rule for anything like that.
Can you back up any of the natural remedies that people can?
I don't. So I know everybody talks about the popo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I say about that is that I have personally seen it work.
Right.
For sure. But you see, the problem in medicine is that you have to be careful what you're telling patients. So we can't officially recommend something without hard evidence until it passes through, you know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
So, everybody knows about it. The nurses might tell them, hey, use some purple leaf, and honestly, we don't mind it, but it's just that the only reason we don't mention it is sometimes we're a little bit limited because we're not really allowed to talk about treatments that didn't go through rigorous studies and that sort of thing.
Treatment that's not medical.
That's not, yeah. So, if it does reach that point where it does go through approval from, then yes, we could say yes, we could officially write in the notes, recommend a dosage and that kind of thing. But I have, with my own eyes, seen it work in terms of trying to build back up the platelet count,
The thing is too, I think we might not entirely be aware as to how these
works.
things would affect people or how it would work.
Yeah.
But Doc, what about long-term effects of dengue? I've heard people say, I've contracted dengue, my immune system has been shot. People have said that.
That's a nice thing about dengue, I think, nice, is that sometimes, just going back to chickpea, sometimes you'll get chickpea today and then 3 to 6 months later, you're still having joint pain. Generally, dengue doesn't have those kind of long-term, once you're through it, you're through it. Right. But the problem with dengue, as opposed to, again, chickpea, is that chickpea doesn't really kill people. That's a problem. But dengue, you can get severe dengue that could end in death. That's a problem. So it doesn't tend to really long-term sequelae, 3 months, 6 months, but you can end up in hospital, you could end up needing ICU care, that sort of thing. So it is more dangerous in that regard, I think.
Could it be where some people might actually have chikungunya but might actually mistake it for dengue?
Yeah.
And then they realize after 3 or 4 months, hold on, this is what's
Especially
going on?
now where our mind is dengue. Yes, I guess that could be possible where,
when I first got these symptoms for the dengue, I thought it was chikungunya because I had chikungunya in the past, and to me the symptoms were similar.
Yeah.
But when I had chikungunya, I lost my sense of taste, and I got a rash on my skin. But that didn't happen, so I was speaking to a doctor, he said, no, it's dengue. Dengue is going around. I did not know dengue was going around at the time.
That's the thing. Naomi also mentioned that she had really itchy skin when she had dengue. That is a listed symptom?
Yeah, you could get, so the typical dengue rash is more of like a spotty kind of red or brown rash depending on your skin color. But any virus could cause something called a viral exanthem, which tends to be itchy. So like even with COVID or the flu or stuff like that, you can't get an itchy rash, just like an exanthem. Just the pure fact that dengue is a virus, it could cause that.
It was strange because I didn't get a rash.
Yeah.
I just had itchy skin.
Itchy skin, yeah.
So then, Dr. Farah, what are the, absolute do's and don'ts? I said, before, where sometimes you need to lecture trainees. But what are the absolute do's and don'ts?
I think the absolute, do's is that if you do get symptoms, pay attention to your symptoms, right? Also look out and see if you have any respiratory symptoms, because if you have fever and you have a cough and sneezing and stuff like that, then it may not be dengue, it may be the flu. So take note of your symptoms. Get a thermometer too, so that you could actually document your fever. So we would know, when you come to us, we would know if it's high-grade fever or not, right? So that will be really helpful for us. Also, if you do have symptoms of the dengue that we discussed already, come and see somebody so that we could examine you, see you, do your bloods, make the diagnosis, and then keep up your follow-up visits. So as I said, once we do make the diagnosis, we usually see the patients back like every 2 days or sometimes every day, depending on how concerned we are. Keep those visits, because we don't know who might deteriorate and may not. So we usually follow up the person once, until they're okay, until they get back to normal. And in terms of the don'ts, and one more thing for the do, rest and rehydrate, hydrate. That's like best thing you could do for yourself, especially if you're not eating like normal, but make sure you hydrate. Don'ts, definitely, please, no alcohol, nothing that will dehydrate you too much. And please stay away from any aspirin and NSAIDs, as we say, right? Also I know this might be a little bit not pleasant, but look at, when you use the bathroom, look back before you flush. You're looking for bleeding. If you know you have dengue, look before you flush, because that's one of the questions that your doctor will ask when you come for your every 2-day visits. Are you having any bleeding? So if you don't look, you wouldn't know.
So you would see blood?
Yeah, look for blood. Mm-hmm. That's one of the questions when you come. We'll ask, any bleeding from anywhere? Look when you brush your teeth, when you spit, if there's any blood. All right, that's one of the things we're looking out for.
And just to have an understanding, I know you said it's a virus that's usually spread from, mosquito, because of mosquitoes. They are the vectors. Yeah. I understand that. But with all the symptoms, is dengue at all contagious? Should people isolate?
Well, no, it's contagious, yes, in the fact that it is spreadable, right? But it's not, so if she has dengue and you put us in a room and you close the door, we're not going to get it from being close to her. So it's not like the flu where, like that. You need that mosquito to bite her and then bite me for me to get it. So, you could be close to a dengue patient. There's no need to isolate. You could take care of your relative who has dengue. That's fine. You don't have to wear a mask and that sort of thing once you know it's dengue. The problem really is the mosquito, because once the mosquitoes are around, then you have the potential to spread. Yeah.
She actually called the mosquito on herself.
Yeah.
She saw the mosquito and she was like, hey, look at these chips.
Every time I see one, I always point it out because they're pretty.
Yeah.
They're what?
The black and white legs.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Farah, thank you very much for joining me. And before you go though, any last words of advice or anything else that you'd like to stress to the viewing public?
I think the biggest thing right now is to try to eradicate the mosquito, right? That's the biggest thing that we could do as a community to try to bring down the cases of dengue. So if everybody takes personal responsibility for their own space and you go and clean up your backyard and places that have stagnant water, old tires, that kind of thing that's collecting water, that should help a lot in terms of bringing down the mosquito population and therefore bringing down the number of dengue cases.
Essentially, take pride in your environment, and take care of the environment around you.
Yeah.
There's actually one thing I did miss. It's just come to my head. How long usually would you be out if you contract dengue?
It depends, because some people, it depends from person to person. So, but it's usually about 5 to 7 days for most people.
And does it differ in, let's say, for example, babies to adults to elderly?
The symptoms are the same. The problem with the children are you can't talk to them. So that's the problem with kids. You have to be very careful with the pediatric population, because you can't ask you how you're feeling, any bleeding, any abdominal pain. So that's where, as doctors, when you're dealing with children, your examination has to be really good. You have to make sure and examine them properly and that kind of thing. So it is a little more difficult with kids in that the disease is the same basically, but it's harder to talk to them, you know,
Yeah.
or impossible sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, well, Dr. Sakshifari, I want to thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thank
and
you.
Really for sharing this information with us.
Thank you.
So hopefully it doesn't get so bad where we have to bring you back to lecture on the people population again. But thanks very much for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, we're going to take a quick break here on AM Prime. And guess what? This is Naomi's first Wild Wednesday. I'm sure she's looking forward to it. I know I am. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, after this.
Seven is out, all day is in. WESN News on the hour.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
This is 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for, it's called loss and damage. And we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region.
Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lips?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put
Why
forever.
you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of this game.
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
Hi, and welcome back to AM Prime. Today is Wild Wednesday. It's my first Wild Wednesday, so I'm a bit nervous, but we have with us here today Jeremy from the Wildlife Center.
Good morning,
Hi,
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Morning, guys.
Jeremy, this is Naomi's first Wild Wednesday. So you can see she's having some fun with Aurora. But Jeremy, who do you have with you?
So today I have Yoshi.
Yoshi?
I have Yoshi with me, right? This tiny little snake here, right? This is a cascabel, right? Well, locally known as the cascabel, right? But the actual name for it is the black-tailed tree boa, right? So
What's a boa?
Yeah, so it's part of the boa family. So actually Yoshi and Aurora over here are cousins.
Oh.
Yeah, they are cousins, yeah. Right, now being a tree boa, Yoshi will be more found in the trees versus Aurora, who will be a little bit more terrestrial.
Sorry about that, Jeremy. Naomi's having fun with Aurora here. I'll hold Aurora for a bit. So tell us more about this cascabel, because we've been told that the cascabel, according to locals, it bites like a dog.
It does bite like a dog, yeah. Now, so we'll dispel that myth. Only dogs can bite like dogs, right? But no, they do have a reputation for being a little bit more spicy. That is why you see me here with my snake hook, right? Now, Yoshi has calmed down, right? I wouldn't say she's very used to handling, but because I have experience dealing with them, right, I got her to calm down so I could hold her in my hands. Now, these snakes are very reactive. They spend a lot of their times in the trees, and they hunt things like bats, birds, small mice and rats, stuff that move very quickly. In order to be able to catch their prey, they have to be very observant and they have to be very quick. So it makes them very reactive. On top of that, Yoshi's just only a year, and look how small she is.
Yeah.
It'll take her at least 7 years to get to the size of Aurora.
She could get to the size?
Well, in terms, she can't get as probably thick, but she will be very long. She will not get very broad-bodied because she has to be able to stay in the trees and support herself. Right? So she is adapted to have longer teeth and to be more reactive. So oftentimes when people encounter these animals in the wild, right, they are going to be reactive, they are going to be a little bit more defensive than the average snake. Now they do have longer teeth, so compared to her teeth to Aurora's teeth, hers will be very much longer because she needs to be able to hold on to prey. Oftentimes they will catch bats right out of the air or birds right out of the air.
Wow.
So they need long teeth to hold on to that bird because they aren't as blessed with a strong body as compared to their cousins. Yeah.
How long would they take to eat, let's say, a mice or a small bird? Because I mean,
on average, about like 5-10 minutes.
Wow.
You know, they swallow it relatively quickly. If it's a large prey item, they may take a little bit longer, right? But on average, fairly quickly, between 5 minutes. They, just like all other snakes, they don't have a connected jawbone, right? So their mouths get stretched to take in much larger prey. Yoshi's comfortably eating mice on her own, and look at the size of her. She's like a shoelace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But have you ever actually been hit with a strike from Yoshi?
A bite from you, yeah, and it's blinding quick. You don't even see when it's coming. You just feel the tag. But she hasn't, been as reactive as before, right? She's settling down and understanding that, okay, I'm not out here to hurt her. People are not out here to hurt her. So you can see how very cool and smooth her movements are.
So Naomi, you can handle her now?
No. No.
But definitely
Aurora
holding this
doesn't
snake,
bite.
the chances of getting bitten is a lot higher. Yeah, a lot higher.
You want Aurora back?
I'll take her.
Yeah,
I'll
you can
take
take
her.
Aurora back.
So Aurora does not bite. This is the only reason I will hold her. She's
Aurora's wrapping.
Aurora is.
Oh my! I'm feeling your muscles. I know you're flexing. I think you're gonna have to hold on for a bit there, because I am feeling she is flexing.
Did you tell us what kind of snake Aurora is?
So Aurora is a red-tailed boa, or we'll call in Trinidad the mackerel.
So you can say, I've interacted with
So
a
this
mackerel.
is why she's constricting.
So she holding on. I guess right now she probably feeling comfortable on Keaton's arm. It's warm, and yeah, she's settling there.
And the
Or she
snake
probably
whisperer.
like him. Yeah.
The snake whisperer.
The snake
She
whisperer.
doesn't want to be my friend.
So, okay, so you said that's a tree boa. And Aurora, we wouldn't find necessarily in trees, but more so.
Oftentimes, when they're younger, they can climb. They are avid climbers, right? When they're younger, they tend to spend a lot of time in the trees, even when they get older. But as they get a lot heavier, it don't make sense to be up in a tree for too long, right? So they'll tend to just stay more on the ground. But if they have to take to the trees, they will.
What is Aurora's diet as compared to Yoshi's diet?
More or less the same thing. Aurora will eat bats as well. Yeah, she'll eat bats. She will eat mice, rats, birds, anything that she could overpower. Right, so more or less the same thing. It's just that they both adapted to different environments. Right, so I don't know if you all ever been to the Caroni swamp, the tours and whatnot. Oftentimes those snakes that you see wrapped up in the trees is these little guys, but obviously much bigger. Right, and they just sit there and they wait. They wait for any birds and they to fly by. Manicous, any kind of possums or anything like that. Once they could bite it and overpower it, they take it.
We're speaking about Yoshi being able to... Small man syndrome, boy.
Yeah. Now Yoshi will get much bigger, right? She will get about like 8 feet in length, right? But she'll always be slender bodied, so she'll never get broad and heavy and whatnot.
What about the lifespan of these snakes?
On average, in captivity, 15 to 20 years. In the wild, it varies depending on the location, human interference, etc. Obviously, we know the narrative in most of the world, especially in Trinidad, the best snake is a dead one. So oftentimes people see snakes, kill them without question. So yeah, but on average in the wild, probably about 10 years.
Well, that's the thing. If you see a snake, leave it.
Leave it, correct, yeah.
Leave it.
Correct.
I don't know if you can pet.
She's still calm.
You can pet. You can.
She's still calm. So why doesn't Aurora bite?
So the boa constrictor's temperament is a lot more relaxed. Not that she can't bite. Any animal with a mouth can. Right. Aurora has, however, been used to being around humans since she was very small, right? So now she understands that okay, humans are not a threat, and there's no need to defend myself amongst humans. Yeah.
What about in respect to Yoshi? Because I know you are being very, very careful with Yoshi.
Yeah.
I'm curious for you to describe that strike and that tag, what it felt like.
So I always describe snake bites as, especially from smaller snakes, is almost as though being sliced by a razor blade. Oftentimes, Oftentimes now it sounds a lot more worse than it is, but oftentimes you actually don't really feel when the teeth enter. Is when they pull out is when you feel it.
And they rip the skin.
Yeah, correct. right? But their teeth are so fine, like little razor blades, it just enters into your skin very quickly. It's like hypodermic needles, you know? But oftentimes what you really feel and what really scares people is the initial strike, that blunt hit, and then they pull back. Now, Yoshi has heat pits, right? I don't know if she may get reactive now, right? But oftentimes when she's very defensive, she coils up in a tight S, and she follows the heat signature of my hand, my face. I'm releasing an entire heat signature, and that's what she follows.
So so this is the same thing on Aurora. What we would think are two nostrils actually.
So no, Aurora actually lacks heat pits.
Really?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So your red-tailed boas, and they actually don't have heat pits compared to some other snakes, and they, right? So she will have to use visual and send cues in order to take down her prey.
How good is eyesight?
I would say, you know, fairly decent. Yeah, fairly decent. Not 100% perfect, but fairly decent enough for her to recognize prey versus predator, etc. She could still navigate around, you know.
Let me look at that.
Stay from that one.
It's the reason why we put me in the middle this morning. You're tempting, Yoshi. You're like, Yoshi, come at me.
Well, yeah. So that is the S strike there, and as you could see, she's now locked onto my hand, right? So when I'd move my hand over here, she turned. Now she's also flicking the tongue because she wants to know, okay, what is it? Is it food? Is it a predator? What is it? But I'm releasing a heat signature here. Now Yoshi has the capability to strike at least double the amount of her length. So my hand is
double the amount of her length.
Yeah, she can reach from where she is. She could just project her whole body. Just
she
to
can
be able.
reach by me
Correct.
as well.
Well, that's a bit of a, I mean, yeah.
That's a bit of a stretch.
But she may not, it may not, unless it was food, then yeah, nah, she may not want to do that.
Now, that is the exoskeleton. These are pure muscle.
Muscle, correct, yeah.
Pure muscle, because I'm just curious. You just said she can strike at least twice her length. And that is quite amazing.
Yeah.
How so? Even in catching prey out of the air, I mean, I'm just curious to know how they prop their body up like that.
So if you look, she has a long prehensile tail, right? Compared to other snakes, and being a tree boa gives her the advantage because she could hold on, just like that, and that is how they will catch their prey at times. So you can see she's holding on by her tail, but the rest of her body is supported, and she will come back. She will come back up, and that is how sometimes they will catch prey. They could actually hang from a branch, and they will hang their heads down, and they will catch things like bats and whatnot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, curiosity: do they give birth to live young or two?
Correct. Live young.
Live young, not eggs. They don't.
Not eggs.
They don't do eggs. And if
but some snakes do.
Some snakes do lay eggs. Yeah. So Aurora wouldn't lay eggs. Live birth. Same with Yoshi. Live birth. Yeah.
I did not know. I thought all snakes
laid eggs. Yeah. Nah. Some of them do live birth. Some of them do eggs.
So then they would be considered mammals.
No. Okay. Because they lack mammary glands.
Right.
That's one of the biggest characteristics of a mammal. Right. But no, they are still part of the reptilian family.
Wow.
I'm not so sure what's going on with Aurora. I don't know if Aurora wants to come off, if Aurora wants to stay.
She just explored.
Just explored. And I'm trying to hand Naomi. I'm trying to hand Aurora to Naomi. Here you go.
She's heavy.
It's muscle. It's pure muscle. So, Jeremy, you know, we said it just now, if you come across these snakes, and that's something we've also stressed a lot, if you come across these animals, just leave them alone. They don't want to really have to deal with you.
Yeah.
But the first instance is people are going to look for their cutlass.
Yeah, correct.
You know? But in the instance of the cascabel, which is a bit more aggressive, you know, how do you, if you come across this snake, what do you do? What are the steps that you need to take?
Honestly, really and truly, there's no big set of steps when it comes to a cascabel. I mean, if you see it in your house, you know, you could call us, you know. These animals, and they are, I wouldn't say that they're aggressive, they're just very defensive. So once you don't interfere with it, it has no intention to interfere with you. Oftentimes they're just going along their way. They may end up in your house, you know, from time to time.
there's always reasons whether it is they were running from predators or they were actually chasing a prey item, and that prey item happened to be in your house. But other than that, people will go to Tobago and catch them, you know, on their villas and whatnot. And, you know, I tell people, just leave them, like, they will find their way out, you know? Yeah, they have no intentions of trying to hurt you or bite you or anything like that.
Well, apart from humans, what are the other predators?
Birds, so hawks and whatnot will eat them, right? There are other snakes that will eat them as well. So in Trinidad, we have species of snakes that do eat other snakes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are these snakes that people, these snakes that people eat?
Well, some people have been known to catch large mackerels and kill them and eat them, yeah.
It's that question, how we went straight from, what do they eat to, oh, this is what people eat. No, but it's true. I mean,
Trinis will eat anything.
Trinis will eat anything. I don't think there's any animal that a Trini has not tried. I've heard people talking about eating doves and, you know, so it's yeah. So, but I have heard of people eating snakes before.
What's the reason for her being so still right now?
Well, remember that snakes are not very, how to put it, they aren't very excitable creatures.
Right.
For them, life is just about, you know, you sit and wait and eat, you know. So for her, once she finds a comfortable spot and she feels safe and secured, she'll just relax.
I just like how Naomi is very nervous because the snake is still. Naomi's
No, she's like, she's looking at me and planning.
Nah, she ain't planning anything. I think she just find a comfortable spot and yeah, she's just relaxing.
Jeremy, do these snakes actually ever close their eyes?
No, they have no eyelids, so they don't close their eyes. So sometimes you may not be
snakes
able to
on a hole or just these?
Snakes on a hole. There's no snakes with eyelids, at least that I know.
I've never seen a snake wink.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
it's
can't
true.
wink,
I've never seen
So they sleep with their eyes essentially open. Yeah.
Wow.
Is that also a defensive mechanism? Are they, even though they're asleep, would they still be able to?
No, I mean, when they're asleep, obviously brain function and whatnot will switch. Yeah, it's limited. Yeah. Correct. So I don't know if they did any studies to see if they could actually see, but compared to how we interact with these snakes when they're sleeping, they don't actually see anything when it is like, you know, they may feel vibrations, or if you touch them, they jump. So it's obviously like, you know, you startle them out of their sleep.
But that can also be a safety thing for them in terms of other predators that would target them.
Correct, yeah, it could be as well. Now, one of the very cool advantages that some snakes have, like Yoshi and Aurora, if you look just behind their eye, they have like a brown strip. That is so that animals actually can't see where their eyes are.
Oh.
Which is a mechanism, is both for defense and is advantageous to hunting, because a lot of the times in the wild, the eyes are very important. That is why things like the owl butterfly has like these large eye-looking rings on. Yeah, so the two predators to make it look like, oh, I'm an owl, leave me alone. Now, for somebody like her, because they are basically a noodle with a head, their most vulnerable part is their head. So you don't want predators to be able to actually tell by first glance where the head is, you know?
The thing is, well, Yoshi keeps going in and out of strike pose, I suppose. So she's having some fun this morning on the show.
Yeah.
But kudos to you, boy, how you're handling Yoshi, I have to tell you. I mean, people would be so nervous they wouldn't be able to do that. And that's why it's very important to stress that these are trained handlers. These are professionals. These are the guys that have all the expertise. So don't think that you can do it. It's leave them alone. Leave these animals alone.
Professionals.
Leave it to the professionals. Naomi's getting some training right now, actually. But what about, you know, Aurora? Same thing with respect to predators. There are going to be hawks as well that will probably go after, even though of her size.
Yeah, I mean, now Aurora is 3 years old, bridging 4 feet. She has a lot more growth to do. She could get up to about 11, 12 feet. Yeah, and become very heavy, weigh up to 60 pounds and be very heavy. Now, when she's small like this, yeah, she'll be vulnerable to predators. So things like Ocelot solita, hawks, owls, other snakes, again, different mammals and whatnot, and again, man. But as she gets bigger, those predators and they start to become less and less, and actually her predators could now
become her prey.
Become her prey.
Wow. You think Aurora at full size could probably take down an ocelot, a small ocelot?
Of course, of course. There has been, I've seen with my own eyes where there have been reports of like even snakes eating cats, you know, especially the boa constrictors and yeah, they have been known to be able to take down, they can take down an ocelot, you know, I mean, it'll definitely be quite a fight, but they can do it. Once they're the right size, yeah, they can do it.
Wow. So, Jeremy, I mean, what else is there that we really should know about these snakes or learn about these snakes?
Okay, so, well, I always say it when I come here, again, and I'll say it each and every time. No snake on the face of the earth is out to get you. They have no intentions of, you know, plotting a plan to bite you or eat you or anything like that. Snakes are not capable of sizing you up. All these things are myth. So I know oftentimes when we bring snakes out, the biggest question I get is, Jeremy, you heard about that story where the lady had a snake in her bed and the snake stopped eating? She took it to the vet and the vet said that the snake was sizing up to eat her. That is just an urban myth. It is not real. Snakes do not do that, right? Imagine being a snake and having to walk up to a prey item and say, hey, just stay right there. Let me just measure you. A prey item is not going to stay there and be like, oh yeah, you're going to need mine. Let me see if we can fit. No, snakes don't do that. You know, oftentimes, yes, I know there are a lot of keepers and and reports of snakes eating people, right? But again, we are not on their main menu, right? They are just opportunistic feeders, and if it is they get the opportunity and they are large enough, they take that chance.
Those are the biggest snakes in the world.
That's
those
the biggest
reports,
snakes in the world,
those are like the largest snakes in the
But
world.
other than that, in Trinidad, there's no need to fear these animals. Again, you know, I know that we have venomous snakes and whatnot. If you see a venomous snake, leave it alone. Call, you know, the right authorities to have the snake removed, especially if it's in an area that's around like children and your family, your home. Other than that,
How would you know if a snake is venomous?
there are multiple ways to tell. I would always recommend people, you know, doing their research to be able to see these animals, or even just coming out to different wildlife displays to be able to learn about these said animals, right? If you don't know, best to just leave it alone. Okay. Yeah, just leave it alone.
I heard people say before that venomous snakes are the colorful ones.
Not all the time.
Okay.
You see, a lot of animals have adapted, right, to mimic venomous snakes, and right? Well, especially other snakes have adapted to mimic those colors, those patterns, that defensiveness, in order to protect themselves from predators. So that's why we have animals we have something called the forest flame snake that is black and red. It looks venomous, isn't.
It was the same thing with the tigre, because when you saw how black the top was, the yellow underbelly, you took a look at the eyes, and just the nature, just how it reacts, you would have thought, oh, this is a venomous snake. It's
a
not.
venomous snake, yeah. Not.
You know?
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Do your research. You know, simple thing like going on Google and looking up venomous snakes found in Trinidad, get some photos so you have some ideas. You know, just look out for it. Even I know that like people, you know, I think just before the pandemic, and especially throughout the pandemic when we were allowed to go outside, there was this hiking craze in TNT.
Yeah.
And people were coming across Mappa B because people, no, they were on their hiking trail.
Hiking trail, yeah.
And all you have to do is walk past it. You just walk past it, you leave it. You look like you're having some fun there with Aurora. Or I don't know if you're having fun or if Aurora's having fun with you.
She started to move. I'm trying to understand where she's trying to go.
No, she's good there. She's just leave her. She's
slipping
good.
out of my
Jeremy, I want to thank you very much for joining me in the program this morning. Thank you for bringing. I mean,
always a pleasure.
I've never seen a casket ball. I've never actually looked for photos of a casket ball. I've just heard these stories.
Yeah.
And now I realize, hold up, small man syndrome. You know, I really appreciate you know, the center for doing Wild Wednesdays, but you know, for you guys bring out. I think maybe you have to bring the anacondas for Naomi to see.
Oh yeah, we'll have to bring the anacondas back.
If she was amazed by, whoa, you should have seen.
We'll definitely do that. We'll have to do the anaconda segment again.
Yeah, we'll have to do that again. I think
you'll enjoy it. Yeah, you'll enjoy it.
Well, Jeremy Lewis, thanks very much, my friend. All the very best to you, and we'll see you again very soon.
For sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's it from Naomi and I. Naomi, good show.
It was great.
And how's your experience with Aurora?
Loved it. Aurora is so cute.
So we'll see you again next week Wednesday, hopefully, for Wild Wednesday. Anyway, well, have a good day, Trinidad and Tobago. On behalf of Naomi and I, this has been AM Prime on WESN. Thank you very much. From me, it's goodbye. And Naomi?
Goodbye. Bye, Aurora.
We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.